what we seen in the last session? What we seen in the last session? So what is development? So why we are going for? What are the things we have inside the development? What are the things we have inside the development? Got a point? Right. See here, this is the user. So here we have one user, end user, like a developer. So developer returns the code. Developer returns the. So once a developer returns the code, what happened? How it will be executed? Got it? Where we can write the code inside my developer console. Log into Salesforce. Log into Salesforce. In the top right, we have a developer console. Here, this is your name now. So in this name, so we have a developer console. Click on the developer console. So once you click on developer console, then you will get this. Then you will get so here we are writing the code. Here we are writing the. Just wait, it's loading. Now, all of you able to see my screen? Yeah, Hima, can you please relog into GoToMeeting once again? All of you able to see my screen? No? Why? I'm already shared my screen. So now it is available. Now it is visible. Okay. So here, just we can go here your name. Go here your name. Here we have developer. Click on the developer console. Then you will get this screen. Then you will get this screen. So now what we have to do? So just we can go here file. So whatever you want, either class, a trigger, Visual Force pages, or a Lightning component application, whatever you want, you can create. You can create it. Got a point? So so you are writing the code. So up to that point is good. So when you click on the execute, for example, let's see, here we have a execute button is there. We have executor button is there. So when we clicked on this execute, what happened? When we clicked on this executor, what happened? So now let's see. What happened? So whenever the user returns the, whenever user returns the code, so here we have a user. User returns what? User returns. Got a point? So when we return the code, what happens? So how the program is executed? How the program is executed? So Whenever we return the code, so first of all, the code will be goes to the Salesforce instance. The code will be goes to the where? A Salesforce instance. Here, this is my Salesforce. This is my Salesforce instance. You know what is run by Salesforce instance? What is the Salesforce instance? Means a server like North America 123. North America 123. Here. This is my server. This is my server. Next. Next, what happened? So whenever the code will be goes to the server, whenever code will be goes to the server will check some checklist. Server will check some check. So what are the checklist here? The server will verify. So what was the requested URL? Got it. So from which URL? So we got this information. From which URL we got this information? The login.salesforce.com or any other URL. Then after, so what's the data? What's the data? Form data. Nothing but here that is Apex. What was the code you written? System collects that code. System collects that code. Next, so what was a browser you are using? Which browser you are using? Either Google Chrome, Opera Mini, Firefox, Edge, like. What was a browser you are using? Next, so what was the operating system? Operating system. Either a Windows, got it. So Linux, Apple. So which browser you are using? Next, IP address. IP address. So what was the IP address of the developer, like a end user? Why? Because so we can restrict a user based on the IP address. Am I right? That's why here IP address also we are checking. Next, so what was the organization ID? What was the organization ID? The starting session, so we just got it. For every organization, we're having one ID. What's that organization ID? Next, the user ID. Inside my organization, we have a lot of users is there. So which user returns this program? That particular user ID. Next one, session ID. Next one, session ID. So now I log into my Salesforce. Now I log into my Salesforce. Got it. So log into log out. So what was the time between the login to log out? So that is called what a session. So now the user is active or not. So here we are checking in this session. Got it. So whenever you submitted the data, so whenever you submitted the data, a system will check these check. System will check these checklist. Which one? That is a Salesforce instance. If everything will be genuine and reliable, then after, so was the platform we have inside that instance. Platform is nothing but what? Products. Got it. Inside this NA instance, we have multiple products is there. We seen under a status.salesforce.com, like a CPQ, billing, charter. So like that, we have a multiple products is there. Multiple products is there. So here form data. So based on the data, a system is allocating the flat. So now we have which platform we are using inside this development. What was the platform we are using inside this development? So that is a force.com a platform. Am I right? What was the platform we are using? What was a platform we are using? That is a force.com. Force.com, a platform we are using. Then automatically a system is connected to the force.com platform. So what was the data here entered by the end user? That data first it goes to the Salesforce instance, and then after from a Salesforce instance to the Post.com platform. Post.com. So what you did here, you retest the code. You retest the code. Then obviously it will goes to the Apex compiler. So where this Apex compiler will be available, that is inside the application server. This is my application server. This is my application server. Inside the application server, we are having compiler. Inside the application server, we are having compiler. This is my compiler. My compiler. So what's the meaning of compiler? So what was the program you written? What was the a program you written? So that program here we are checking. So whether we have any syntax errors or not. Whether we have any syntax errors or not. Got it. So what was the code you written? Finally, it will goes to the Apex compiler. So this is nothing but what? So we are requesting to the compiler. We are requesting to the compiler. So this is what? Uncompiled code. Uncompiled Apex code. Uncompiled is nothing but what? So we didn't check whether we have errors or not. Whether we have errors or not. This is uncompiled code. Then, so if you have any errors, then this compiler give the response to the end user. So boss, in this line, got it. In this line, we have an error. In this line, we have an error. So this is what? This is the response from the compiler. Response from the compiler. Compilation error. So whenever you return the program, in that program, if you are not following any syntax, or if any syntax errors is then automatically my compiler will give an error to the end user. To the end. Got it. So once we got the error, so what we are doing, then we are automatically changing the program. What was the errors we written? So just we are clearing that errors. So once there is no errors, error-free code. Once there is no errors, right, then obviously that information will be goes to my metadata repository. Metadata repository, but what? Say data. So here, so what was the code you written? Every code will be stored in this metadata repository. This is my what? A metadata repository. What we are doing here? Here it contains classes, triggers, got it, and VF pages. Whatever the code you return, all the code will be available in this metadata repository. What is this? Called what? Metadata repository. Metadata repository. Inside the metadata repository, so what was the code you written? That code will be saved. What was the code you written? That code will be. Got it. So whenever you save the code in this metadata repository, then a system will provide one ID. And will provide one ID. So from here to here, we are passing the data. From here to here, we are passing the data. So finally, this is called what? Compiled code. Compiled got it. So compiled is nothing but what? Error-free code. Error-free code. Got it. So if you have any errors, system is not allowed to store that information inside my metadata repository. Got it. So once we store the information, once we store the code into the metadata repository, then a system will provide one ID. Got it. Then a metadata repository will provide the ID. This is my ID. We can call record ID or whatever it may be, right? A unique identification number will provided by this metadata repository. Metadata repository. Just like we are storing one record into the object. Got it? Into the object. So whenever we provided some validation rules, got it, or formulas, some field level security. So obviously we need to provide the information in that field. Unless until we cannot save the record. The same thing here also. Right? So you are providing, you are executing the program. It goes to the compiler. If you have any errors, compiler gives the response. Got it? So just we can rectify those errors, and then after that code will be saved into the metadata repository. Once you saved the information into the metadata repository will provide one a unique ID. Unique ID. So then this unique ID will be goes to the once again Apex once again Apex company. Then what happened inside this Apex? So inside this Apex compiler, so we have a Apex runtime. We have what's that? Apex runtime. This is my Apex runtime. This is my Apex runtime. So what was the ID here we collected? What was the ID here we collected? Now that ID will be goes to the Apex runtime. Now that ID will be goes to the Apex runtime. So once the Apex runtime collected this ID, then immediately the Apex runtime will be goes to the metadata repository. Then Apex runtime will goes to the metadata repository, just asking, so boss, with this ID, what was the data you have? Just you can send it. With this ID, what was the data you have? Just you can send it to me. Got a point? So why? Because so here you are getting only ID. The actual data will be available in this metadata repository. So what was the ID here we collected? So based on that ID, the metadata repository will provide that info. So whatever the information here we got, that information will be stored to the buffer memory. Buffer memory. Buffer memory is nothing but what? Temporary memory. That information will be stored into the buffer memory. Got it? So and then after, from this buffer memory, so where it goes? Next, it will go for the execution. It will go for the execution. Now here, the program will be executed. Based on the logics what you return, based on the logics you return, then automatically the system is executing that. So once you executed the program, then it will be converted to the, they are getting the result now. The result will be converted to the HTML. So why the result will be in the HTML format? Why the result in a HTML format? Because so where you are executing the program inside the browser, where you are executing the program inside the browser. Got it? So whatever the result here you are getting, that result should be compatible with the browser. So here we are getting the browser information. Got it? Some of the browsers are not supported for Salesforce development. For administration, that will be good. Got it? For administration, that will be good. But some of the browsers, like so third-party browsers is there now. So those browsers are not executing these program because of security. Got it? So you are executing the program means what? You are doing something. If someone will be stolen that information, then someone will be hack your browser. Then there is no privacy. So enter your code will be in the public. That's why some of the browsers are not supported for development. Got it? Only for what was the third-party browsers we have. Next. So once we got the result in the HTML format, then that result will be goes to the end user. That result will be goes to the end user. Got it? Next. So here, right? So here we written the code. So what was the code? Let's see. I written the code just like a calculator. I written the code related to the calculator. So what you are doing here in the calculator, you are providing a first number and a second number, and then after you want a result. Want a result. Got it. So what type of result you want? For example, I want a addition. For the addition, what we are doing here, you are writing the logic. Here you are writing the logic. So what was the logic? What was the first number plus a second number? First number, second number. Right? What was the logic? A result equals to a first number plus second. See here, these are the inputs. Am I right? These are the input, and this is the output. This is the output, and this is my logic. This is my logic. So here you are connected to the server. No. Here you are connected to the server. No, I didn't connected to the server. I didn't connected to the server. So in what situation we can connect to the server? Server is about database. In what situation, right? The user will connect to the database. In what situation the user will connect to the database? So here we have a database. We have a database. This is the calculator. Now what I'm doing? So I have a one more requirement. So what's that requirement? Fetch the records from account object and update the address to country is India. Now what I have to do? So fetch the records from the account object. So where this account object? Where this account object? Inside my Salesforce, we have account object. That's okay. Got it. See here. Fetch the records from the account object. Means I want to get the record from the account object. Inside my account object, I have 100 records. 100 records. I want to fetch that records. How? Okay. So just I open the object, I have 100 records. Then update the address to country is India. I want to update all the records. So whatever the country as of now we have, just you can forget about that. Got it. Just you can skip that point, but you need to update to the India. Got it. So in that situation, what we have to do? So you need to write a code. Got it. So user needs to write the code. So what type of code? So we need to write a query. Query is nothing but what? Yeah. Getting the information from the database. See here. See. By using Apex programming, we can retrieve the records from the Salesforce object with the help of SQL query. So here what you are doing? So you are writing a query. You are writing a query. Got it. So whenever you want to fetch the information from the database, got it. So in that situation only, so we need to connect with the database. Got it. In some situations, see here the calculator. In some situations, so no need to connect to the database. But in some situation, obviously we need to connect to the data. Got it. So most of the time, obviously we need to connect to the database. Why? Because what we are doing inside the Salesforce, what we are doing inside the Salesforce. So whatever the things we cannot achieve in the administration, got it. So those features we are extending in this development. In that situation, obviously we need to connect to the database, get the records. So whatever you want, you can do it. Whatever you want, you can Got it? So in some situations, obviously the end user will connect to the database. So whenever you're executing the program, some situations the user needs to connect to the database whenever you're executing the program. Got it? Right? So in this way, your program will be executed. In this way, your program will be executed. So whenever you written the program, when we click on that execute button, then immediately it will goes to the Salesforce instance, then post.com platform, next application server, next Apex compiler. In this Apex compiler, so we'll check that code, so whether code having errors or not. If you have errors, then compiler will respond to the user. Because we have some errors in this code. Once you rectify that code, once you rectify that errors, then that information will be goes to my metadata report. Got it? So once the code is saved into the metadata repository, then a system provides a unique ID. Then system provides a unique ID. Based on that ID, then my Apex runtime will collect the information. My Apex runtime will collect the information. Got it? In the Apex runtime, the program is the Apex runtime, the program is executed. So once it is executed, that code will be converted to the HTML format. If any situations, if you want to get the information from the database, then obviously the Apex runtime will be connect to the database, and what was the information you want, then it will be. Got it? Right? So don't worry. So this is very difficult, I think, right, to remember. So don't worry, no one will ask so how the program will be executed. But as a developer, I need to know how the program will be executed. So where I need to check and all. Got a point? Next. So inside my Salesforce administration, if you want to create a field, so what you are doing with the help of a data, with the help of a data type, we are creating the fields. We are creating the now. In this development also we have a data type. In this development also we have a data. So first of all, so what is meant by data type? First of all, what is meant by a data type? So what type of a data the variable can hold? Variable can so what type of data we are having? Got it? So what type of data we are storing inside this data type? That is the first problem. Next, if you want to store the information into the variable, so how much memory will be required? How much memory will be required? Got it? What was the second property of the data type? To store the data into the variable, variable. How much memory? How much memory needs to be required? First one is what? So what type of data you are storing? What type of data you are storing? Second one is what? So how much memory required to store that data? Got it. Next. So inside the Apex, so we are having two types of data. Apex provides how many types? Two types of data. What are the two types of data types? The first one is so primitive data type. Primitive data type, and second one is what? S object data type. S object data type. So what is done by a primitive? What is done by primitive? What we have inside the primitive? Inside the primitive, first thing, integer. Next, long. long. Next, decimal, string, ID, boolean, date, and time. Next, time, blob. Got it. So these are the primitive data type. Next, S object data type. What is meant by S object? S is nothing but what? Salesforce object. Is nothing but what? Salesforce object. So whatever the Salesforce objects we have, right? Whatever the Salesforce objects we have, so we can consider all the Salesforce objects as the data type. As the data type. See here, see, Apex program is tightly integrated with the Salesforce objects. Apex is tightly integrated with a Salesforce object. So in the inside the object, what you are doing? You are storing the records. That's why here we have a S object, a type of a data. So we'll see. So what was the primitive data types and what was the features of this? The first one is what? Integer. The first one is what? Integer. So what is meant by integer? For every data type, we need to see two properties. First one is what? So what type of data we are storing and how much? And the one example. We got it. Next, integer. It holds numbers only. It holds numbers only. What is the meaning of that? Numbers only. Right? If that numbers having any decimal places, decimal points, it cannot access. Got it? It cannot access. So without having a decimal point, without having a decimal points, whatever the data we have. Next, we need how much memory? We need 4 bytes of memory. We need 4 bytes of memory. Got it? So let's see one example for this here. Integer, customer ID. Integer, a customer ID equals to something. See here, this is my data type. This is my variable name. This is the assignment operator. This is the value, and every statement will end with semicolon. So now we are discussing this one, data type. The next session we'll see what is variable, how we are storing the value and everything. Got it? So we are starting the sessions from the scratch. Got it? So integer. Next one is what? A long. Second one is what? A long. What is the meaning of long? See, long also. It holds a numbers only. It holds a numbers only. Means what? Without having a decimal point. Without having a decimal points. But here we need how much? 8 bytes of memory. 8 bytes of memory. Why here we have 4 bytes and 8 bytes? For example, let's see here we discussed one example. So first number. Here, first number. Here, what we are doing? We are providing numbers. They calculate nothing but what? So we can do addition, subtraction, multiplication for the numbers only. Numerator. So here you have provided like an integer, that is 4 bytes. That is 4 bytes of data. Next, the second number also we are having a 4 bytes. In the second number also we are having a 4 bytes. Got it? Second number also we are having 4 bytes. So whenever you did addition or subtraction or multiplication, got it? So between these 4 bytes, and obviously we are getting more than 4 bytes result. Got it? So that situation here in the result should be 8 bytes. Got it? So here we are using integer for the first number. We are using integer, and the second number also we are using integer. For the result, what we are using long. The result what we are using long. Got a point? Same example for the integer. Next one is what? Decimal. The next one is what? Decimal. So what do you know about the decimal? Whatever the number we have, a decimal point, right? It holds the number values having decimal point. Decimal, then you will get found out. Okay, so in the integer, it does not allow a decimal points. Got it? Right? Inside the decimal, I entered without having decimal number. Then the decimal will accept, obviously. Got it? So if you don't have any decimal points also, the decimal data type will got a point? Now, so how much memory it will require? We need 4 bytes of memory. We need 4 bytes of example, decimal salary. Decimal equals to something point. Got it? So here we used what? Decimal. Now, tell me, so what are the fields we referred as the decimal? So you already completed administration. In the administration, we are having a data. Got it? Now tell me, so what are the fields here we can refer as the decimal? Hmm? Go and check what are the data types we have in the admin. See, number field, it allows decimal places. And currency, it allows decimal points. Percentage, it allows decimal points. Then we have a geolocation. In the geolocation also, it allows to store the decimal. Got it? Right? So these are the fields. So we can refer as the next one is what? Fourth one, a string. Fourth one is what? String. One of the most important data type. Why? Because most probably we are using string and integer. What is meant by a string? What is meant by string? Inside the string, you can store anything. In the integers allows to store the number. Long allows to store the number. Decimal allows to store the number. But I want to store some text. Then comes to the integer. Comes to the string. I want to store some special character. That is a string. Got it? So what is meaning of this one? It allows to store. It allows to store collection of a character. Allows to store a collection of anything. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, whatever it may be, either numbers, text, special characters, whatever it may be, you can store in this a string. Anything you can store. But right, each character occupies how much? 2 bytes of memory. Got it? Each character will occupy how much? 2 bytes of memory. For example, I want to store A. A will be 2 bytes. B, 2 bytes. I have to store at the rate. At the rate's 2 byte. Got it? So each character occupies how much? Next, third property. Each string, each a string, a value is enclosed with a single. In what's that? Single. So we need to use a single code. Let's see one example. String student name. String student name equals to. In the single quotes, I have to provide the value. This is my data type. This is my variable name, and this is the value. So whatever the value we have, that a value will be stored in a single. For example, let's see one more thing. String student, string a student email ID. String student email ID. Here, Shiva @gmail.com and with semicolon. Here, I use a special character. I use a special character. What was the data type I used? Here, the string. So whatever you want, you can use it. So can I store the numbers? Yes, you can store the numbers also. String. Tell me, phone number. Phone number equals to. See? But you need to provide in the single quote. Whatever the value here we have, the value should be in the single quote. Then only a system will consider this one as a string. If you are not provided any string here, then a system will show an error. Illegal assignment. Illegal assignment integer to illegal assignment integer to a string. We'll see practically this thing in tomorrow. Got it? We'll see practically how can I get these errors and all those things. Now tell me, so what are the fields we referred as the text? Sorry, string. What are the fields we referred as the string? Email. Got it. Email, phone number, URL. Next, pick list. Pick list, multi-select. Pick list, multi-select. Next, text. You have a text area, text area long. Got it. Next, text encrypted. These are the fields we referred as a string. In the backend, right? So we are using these fields as a string. Why phone number, right? We already seen the validation rules in the account object in the last session. Means in the all the rules. By defaultly, the phone number will allow text. URL, just combination of text. The pick list, you can provide the values either in the format of numbers or text. So text area long, text encrypted, all those will come under a string type of got. Next, the next one is what? ID. What is this ID? Salesforce ID. We already seen that in the data loader. We seen Salesforce ID. It is a what's that? Case sensitive. Case sensitive data type. It is a case sensitive data. So basically, so whatever the program you are writing inside this Apex programming, so that is not a case sensitive. If you can use a small letter, cap letters, that's not an issue. Got it? If you are using small letter or cap letter, that is not an issue because the Apex programming is not a case sensitive programming. Lightning is there, right? Lightning is there. Lightning is case sensitive. Lightning is case sensitive. Instead of cap letter, if you use small letter, instead of small letter, if you're using cap letter, then you are not getting any output. System is not showing any error also because in the Lightning, we don't have a compiler. Got it? So in the Apex program, here we have a compiler, just to be seen, right? In the Apex program, here we have a compiler. That's the reason here I written Apex compiler, Apex runtime. So whatever the Apex code you are writing, that Apex code will be goes to the Apex compiler. If you are writing a Lightning, no, there is no compiler to execute the program. Got it? So here we can see, so where we are getting the errors in the Lightning, you cannot see that one because the Lightning there is no compiler. Compiler compiles the code. Compiler compiles the code. So whether you are following the Apex syntax or not, Apex rules or not, if you are not, then it shows an error. But coming to the Lightning, we don't have compiler. So that is a case sensitive programming. Case sensitive programming. Instead of small letter, if you use a cap letter, then you are not getting output. System is not providing any error. So boss, in this line, so we have cap letter, small letter. So system is not showing any error because no compiler. Simply, you are not getting any output. Got it? So today morning, so entire my 1 hour will be gone to find out the error. To find out the error. Got it? So the Lightning we have that type of headaches. Now come to this ID. So what are the fields we referred as ID? In what situation we are getting these IDs? First one, a record ID. Next, so whenever did a relationship, that is a lookup relationship, and a master detail relationship. Next, in the data loader. In the data loader also, a system provides one ID. Got it? So these situations we are using ID. So these IDs are a case sensitive. The Apex programming, only IDs are a case sensitive. Next. The next one is what? Boolean. Boolean is nothing but what? True or false. Boolean is nothing but what? A true or a false. So here it holds true. True is nothing but what? 1. Next, false. False is nothing but what? 0. It holds true or false. Then, so how much memory will be required? It requires 1 byte. It requires 1 byte of memory. Now tell me, so what was the field we referred as this one? Boolean. That is a checkbox. That is a checkbox. The checkbox will return. The checkbox we refer as the Boolean. The checkbox returns only true or false. Only true or false. Got a point? The next. Next, what we have date and time. So we'll see directly tomorrow the practical sessions. Next one is what? Blob. What is meant by blob? What is meant by blob? Binary, a large object. What is meant by blob? Binary, a large object. Binary, a large. So what was the use of this blob? I use it to store images, videos, audios, like documents, It may be PDF format, zip format, whatever it may be, documents. So whatever the data you have, you can store the data in the format of what? Blob. Next, it holds maximum of 2 GB content. It holds maximum of how much? 2 GB content inside the binary object. So we can store 2 GB in 2 GB. Got it. Next one is what? S object. Next one is what? S object. S is nothing but what? S is nothing but what? Salesforce object. Salesforce. So we can consider both a standard object and a custom object. Both a standard and a custom object. Got it. So whatever the objects we have inside the Salesforce, all the objects are S object. All the objects are S object. So whenever you created an object, so internally a Salesforce is providing something to the developers. Internally, Salesforce is providing something to the developer. What's that? Let's see. We have an object. We have a object name. So once you created an object, then after you need to create the tab, right? Next we have a tab name. Tab name. Next object ID. Next table name. Next class. What's that class? That is a DML class. Next, one more class is provided, that is a share class. That is a share. Now, so first we'll see the standard object. Let's go. What was the standard object? That is account. So we have one a standard object that is like we have one standard object that is account. Got it. So what was the tab name of accounts? Let's log in into my Salesforce. So where that accounts? Go to sales. Here, oh, I think accounts is not available. Then how can I restore the accounts here? How can I restore the accounts object here? Hmm? Go to profiles. I'm not getting. Go to profiles. So what was the profile here we are using? That is a system administrator profile. System administrator profile. The system administrator profile. So we have a object permissions. In that object permissions, we have a three profiles. What are they? Default off, default on, tab hidden. Now it's a tab hidden. Now what I have to do? Just I need to make this one as a default on. Click on here, edit. Scroll down, see here tab hidden. Just you can make this default on. Let's check this, override the user personal tab customizer. Sometimes if it is not visible, then you can make that check. Click on save. Now here we will get a account. Now, so what was the tab name of this account object? That is accounts. What was the tab name of this accounts object? That is accounts. Next, so what is meant by ID? You know record ID. Whenever you created the record, a Salesforce is providing the ID. The same way, so whenever you created an object, also provided a ID is provided by the Salesforce. This is the account object, right? Just click on that account object. See here, after the salesforce.com, we have a 001. 001. For the account object, we have 001. Go to contacts object, see here, 003. So go to solutions, we have a 50. Solutions, 50. Got it? So for every object, a Salesforce is providing one ID. That is a 001. That is a 001. Got a point? Next, table name. What is done by table? What is done by table? So in our administration, whenever you are uploading a file, the data loader, whenever uploading a CSV format file, so we have rows and columns. That rows and columns called as what? Table. Got it? So before selecting that CSV file, before that what we are doing, you are selecting an object. You are selecting an object. So in that object, what was the name? It will be accounts or account. Accounts or account. That is account, right? What was the table name? That is account. What was the table name? That is account. Next, I want to do some DML operation like insert, update, delete, like that. Got it? So for there also, what was the class name? So we have a account. We have a account. Then I want to share this data from one user to another user programmatically. Then how can I share? So what was the class we are having? That is a account share. So what was the object name? And then after share. Then after share. Got it? So this table name, TML class, share class, and object ID and the tab name provided by the sales. You are providing just only object name, right? Student. You are providing object name and the plural name. Then after ID, table name, and the class name, and the DML class name and shared class name provided by the sales. Next, so one more object, contact. Contact. What was the tab name? Contacts. What was the object ID? 003. What was the table name? Contact. What was the DML class? That is a contact. Next, what was the share class? Contact. So these all are the what? The standard. Now come to the custom. Now come to the custom. So we have a student. See here. Student. So what was the tab name for the student? What was the tab name for the student? That is a students. What was the tab name for the student? That is a student. What was the object ID of the student? That is A02. Got it? So what was the tab name? That is a students. What was the object ID name? A02. A02. What was the table name? Student underscore C. Student underscore C. Why underscore? This is the custom. C is nothing but what? Custom. C is nothing but what? Custom. We are calling this one as the API. We are calling this one as the API. Next, the DMI class. So what is this? A student underscore C. Student underscore. Next, share class. A student underscore or not C. Here we have a share. Instead of C, we have a share. Instead of C, we have a share. Got it? Right. So we can see that information also. Just we can go here and right side we have a view object now. Click on that view object. Click on that view object. So what was the API name of this student? What was the API name of this student? See here. What was the object name? Student. API name? Student underscore underscore C. Not only the object, so whatever the fields you created, whatever the fields you created, for every field we have API name. See here, admission number, admission underscore number underscore C. What is this underscore? So whenever we have a space, whenever we have a space, the space will be covered with a single underscore and the end of the field will be covered with a double underscore. End of the field will be covered with a double. Note, what's that? First, API. API nothing but what? Application programmable application programmable interface. Got it? Application programmable interface. Here, every object and every object and field ends with what's that? Double underscore C. What's that? Double underscore. Double underscore. Got it? So every object will ends with double underscore. Next, space between two words filled with what? Because it is because of okay. Right, space between the two words. Either it may be object or field. Got it? See here, extracurricular activities. E extra underscore curricular activities underscore C. Got it? So like that, whenever divided the object name also, system provided that. So next, filled with what? Single underscore C. Got a point? Next, now let's see one more object. Exam. What was the tab name? Exams. What was the object name? A07, like that. What was the table name? That is exam underscore C. Exam underscore C. What was the DMI class? Exam underscore C. What was the share class? Exam underscore share. Exam underscore. So whenever you created an object, so by defaultly system is providing the tab name, object ID, table name, DML class and share class. We are using these classes inside my development because to extend the functionality of the object. Cannot unmute. So you can unmute yourself. There was unmute button is there, no? You can unmute. Next, how much is memory? Rakesh, I didn't understand how much is memory. Can you please elaborate that one? Oh, 1 second. There was a mute all. Okay. Now by given the permissions, can you please check it? Unmute it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi. Yes, sir. I think Hima and Manasa both are same, right?
Yes, sir. My full name is Hima Manasa, so sometimes it's coming like that. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Yeah. Is anyone having any memory of ID? See, So basically ID will be how many characters we have, that is a fixed one. Either 15 digits or 18-digit characters we have inside the Salesforce. Got it? So that is a fixed one. Okay. So we'll meet tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll see practically how can I store these values inside my variable. Got it? So what was the different data types here we seen? All the data types we seen in the tomorrow session.